Welcome to another episode of Creative Financing Breakdown with Roman's Creative Academy. If anybody doesn't know, my name is Mike Scarpa. Me and my fiance Jay, we invest all throughout Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and we just started investing in Arizona as of recently. We started our creative finance journey about a year and a half ago. And we had absolutely no idea when starting what creative finance was, how it could benefit us, how it has in the past year and a half. And prior to that, we really didn't have much real estate experience besides a single family rental that we really just used as a starting point. So the past year and a half, we have been doing about 2 to 4 deals a month, some of which we keep in house, some of which we've been wholesaling. So, how did we get to the point where we're at now? And what are the main things to look for when negotiating a seller finance deal? So, the way that we do things, guys, we don't give offers to sellers at all. This is the way that we were taught, and it's honestly worked great for us. The reason that we don't give LOIs or letters of intent, as some people like to call it, or formal offers to sellers is because whenever you do that, you sell yourself short. What happens if, for an example, you guys are selling a house and maybe, you listed it high at 210 and I come in and say, okay, I'll give you 190, but your lowest number might have been 120. Well, I just sold myself short. You're not going to tell me that, right? So what we do is we ask a series of specific questions that basically make the seller give us an offer. Now, what is the theory behind those questions and what makes up those 4 questions, right? There's about 4 questions that we ask, and there's a series of other things that we talk about along the way. So that's what we call the 4 pillars of creative finance. Now, there's the 4, and I'm going to ask you guys a question after I go through them. So there's 4 of them, right? There's the purchase price. That's something that you always need to nail down. So that's pillar 1. Pillar 2 is the monthly payment, whether that be if you're taking the home subject to, you need to know what the PITI is, or if it's a seller finance deal, you need to figure out what your monthly payment would be. The down payment and the term length. So again, we're going to go through it. Purchase price, monthly payment, down payment, and term length are the 4 pillars of creative finance. Now, why do we consider them the 4 pillars? Because those are the 4 most important things to create a successful creative finance deal. There's many other things that go into it, such as interest rates and all that stuff, but these are the 4 main things. Now, I'm going to ask all you guys a question. I don't know, maybe if you're at work, if you're driving, if you can throw it in the chat, but I would like to see one of you guys at least answer is, what do you think the most important pillar out of those 4 are? Come on, I know at least one of you guys. So term length is definitely up there. Actually, it is the down payment. Why is it the down payment that's the most important? So great call, Dennis. The monthly payment is important just as well because that'll really consider how much cash flow you have. But the down payment is the most important reason. So why do we all want to do creative finance? Besides the fact that we're not using our own credit, it is the easiest way to get into real estate with little to no money out of pocket without asking anybody to borrow money, right? So when you don't ask somebody to borrow money, then you are going into the deal with absolutely no liability. So with a monthly payment, if you can get our goal inside of our company is to always make sure that we have 10 to 5% down as the maximum. And if we're wholesaling it, our assignment fee is inclusive of that 10%, right? The second one is our monthly payment. So Dennis was right on the money. Our monthly payment is right in line with the second one because that makes up how much cash flow we're going to get. So typically an investor, if they're going to put 10% down into a deal, or even us, we're going to look at what our return is. How do we gauge our return? By how much money we make every month. And that'll be our cash on cash return based on the down payment. The term length is the third most important. Why is that? Because if you have a really, really long term length, or even a term length where it's just the length of the current mortgage, or it's 30 years, whatever it may be, your down payment may not matter. You're into that deal for the rest of the term of a mortgage. That makes,
How can I help you?
right? So with that being said, the last and most and not least is the purchase price. So yes, the purchase price matters. You never want to overpay for a home, but my coach asked me a question probably a couple of weeks ago, and he asked me, "Would you buy $1 million house that was only worth 250,000?" And I said no, and he said, "You're wrong." He said, "Reason why? If you have a term of 100 years on $1 million house, and your payment every month is $100 or $1, and it can rent for $2,000 a month, who cares what you purchased it for? You have 100 years to get it paid in full. You make $1,000 in cash flow every month, and you had little to no money down. It doesn't matter what the purchase price was." So that's the beauty of creative finance. We don't have to worry about going into a deal and having to burn ourselves out and making sure that we're getting it at 50 to 60% of what it's worth. We can go in and pay full price as long as the other three pillars make sense. So that's the key. That's why a lot of investors say, well, we can pay full price because we do creative finance. Yes, we can, as long as the other pillars make sense. For example, we're going to do a deal tomorrow. We're going to be writing it up. The lady wants full price for her house, but she wants absolutely no money down. She's given us the rest of her mortgage term, which is 28 years, and the house can cash flow about $600. So yes, we're paying full retail value in down market, but it doesn't matter. We have 28 years on a mortgage that has a low interest rate and low PITI. So that is the main reason that we always look at a down payment up front, because especially when you do assign it, an investor is going to want that you assign the deal to is going to want a low entry fee. If every single one of the other pillars is average, but your down payment is zero into a deal, you will be able to assign that if you're looking to assign terms deals probably within 48 hours. And don't quote me on that, but every single time that we have gotten a deal with little to no money down and we didn't feel like keeping it and we assigned it, it was gone immediately, because that's what everybody looks for. They look for little money out of pocket. Why? Bigger return on your investment every single time. So one other thing that I wanted to go over is depending on the type of creative finance deal, there are some other pillars that don't go into the four. Now, say you're doing a seller finance deal where the house is free and clear, right? Now, the house, maybe you're buying it from an investor. Maybe he wants some money down, or she. Maybe they want a little bit of interest. Maybe they want a high purchase price. Okay, so what are we going to do there? It doesn't mean that we're going to walk away from the deal. It doesn't mean that we're going to launch the seller. It means that we're going to take a look at our return on our investment every single time, right? And how do we mitigate if a seller wants interest? Interest always causes your monthly payment, especially in a seller finance deal, to go up. Now, we always ask these questions as, okay, what would be the least that you would take in terms of a monthly payment? What's the longest you'd give us in a term length? And we see what they say. That's how we make sure that we're not giving an offer. We let them make us an offer. And if it's unreasonable, then we counter and we use facts based on all the data that we've pulled before. What can it rent for? What does it make sense for us versus it doesn't make sense? And we put all that together, and then that's how we negotiate the deal after the seller gives us their offer. Now, again, like I was saying, how do we mitigate sometimes when we're dealing with an investor that is a seller and maybe they want interest and all that stuff? Well, the beauty of creative finance is you can completely change anything the way that you want it to be. We were putting a deal together, and the seller actually wanted $10,000 down, which was about 10% of the purchase price. So right at the tippy top, he wanted 3% interest, which is kind of like free money. And then lastly, he wanted a 12-year term, which is pretty good. But the monthly payment, because of certain specifics, was extremely high. So what I did was I amortized it over 50 years, right? Instead of amortizing it over 30 years where the payment would be smaller or bigger, actually, I amortized it over 50 years, and I got the payment on a monthly basis to get it to what we needed it to be. And he still got what he wanted, which was his interest every month. And over the course of those 12 years, he still made his interest. And we were able to basically cash flow much more on it, has a higher ROI. And at the same time, he's still going to get cashed out in his 12 years. We told him that's not a problem at all, but this is what we're going to do. And we make it a win-win situation. We let him have what he wants, and then we get what we want. And that's the art of creative finance, really, at the end of the day, is that you can do whatever you want. There is no rules. Everything can be agreeable and negotiable as long as it makes sense for everybody. So for some of you guys who haven't done creative finance deals yet, and you are looking to, continue to come every Thursday here. What we're going to do is, moving forward, I think I'm going to start creating polls, and I'm going to ask you guys after my Thursday meetings exactly what you would want to see. And I'll put it on my personal page, and I'll also put it in the Creative Finance Playbook with Jen and Joe group. And you guys, I would love to see what you would want based on the polls that I put up. And it would be cool to cater to you. Lastly, we are starting open enrollment for our mentorship program in November. So if any of you guys are looking to do more of a one-on-one type feel and really want some hand-holding, we are going to be creating a waiting list. And if you are interested, you can inbox me on Facebook, and I can send you a link to hop on the waiting list. If not, and you'd rather just stay the free route for now, you're more than welcome to come every Thursday. I have no plans on stopping this. I enjoy it. It's fun to meet new people.